I'm an 18-year-old female and my brother Sam is 25. He passed away a few months ago. My mother is 42, who's not been in my life except for popping up every once in a while. Tried to make me homeless because of her new boyfriend who's in his 30s. I've been living with my brother all my life because he's the one who raised me. Our dad walked out on us and our mother has always had more focus on enjoying her youth than taking care of us. She started bringing her boyfriends to our house when I was very young, and she would pretend to be my sister. My brother and I had to cover for her many times when social services tried to look for her. Our situation was bad, but the system would probably separate us, and we just did not want that. He would help people out with carrying their groceries, also help vendors sell stuff, etc., just so we could eat. When Sam was 16, she left us without any notice. We had a place to stay because Sam and I helped the landlady with cleaning around the apartment, and the rent, it wasn't that bad. We lied to her and made her think that our mother was still in our lives. Sam forged her signature for school things, and no one knew that we were alone. Sometimes she would remember us and send money, but only once in a while. When things were bad in her relationship, she would come and stay with us for a little bit. She would promise that she loved us and things would change. Do you know how much it messed with my head to think that my mom did not love me enough to stay? I hated her, but Sam was always forgiving and told me to give her a chance. We had to survive on the kindness of strangers, and Sam had to work extra jobs on top of school to take care of me. I also helped him out as much as I could when I grew up. We had no other family that we knew of because our mom cut them out of our lives. He worked hard and managed to get a scholarship and study engineering at a nearby university. Sam was a very intelligent guy who, despite our poor situation, still managed to score the best marks. My mother took me in for the year he was in university, but he had to pay her part of his allowance. She continued to treat me badly and I was always depressed, which led me to get very bad grades at school. I tried to run away, but my brother would not allow me to because he did not want me to be out on the street. During that time, she went through multiple boyfriends and she lost custody of my little sister. She was the child she had with the man she went to stay with when she left us for good. She came so close to kicking me out, but I had to behave and try to act like I was not affected by how she treated me. I knew Sam felt guilty about leaving me with her, but I knew he had to. When he finished school, he took me back and my life became so much better. He worked very hard at his job and soon got a promotion. While I was studying, he was able to pay for me to go to a better school. I wanted to work in business one day and had already started applying for college. I still wanted to stay with him and was going to go to a nearby university when I graduated high school. Sam had an ex-girlfriend who he had a 10-month-old baby with when he died. I did not know her that well and had only seen her a few times, but he took damn good care of that child. What I did not know was that the mother was also bothering him over the years for money. She had a very horrible addiction to party drugs and refused to go to rehab. But even with all that, he worked up to a senior position in the company and was able to buy a house. I have never had to go to bed hungry because of him. He's the only parent that I knew, and I really wanted to repay him for his kindness when I started making money for myself. But that opportunity was taken away from me. There was an accident at work, and he died because of a machine malfunction. The sad part was that he was not supposed to be at work that day. He was just filling in for a friend. I wanted to show him my college acceptance letter when I got home, but I never got the chance. By the time the company called me and I got to the hospital, he was no longer with us. I did see my mother there for some strange reason. I caused a scene and she left. I was shattered. I still have not gotten over his death. He was such a good person with a kind heart. He did not deserve this. and I could not help feeling that it was unfair for him to pass away. Why is it that always the good ones that pass away before their time? I was not ready to be alone. I was still underage. He was my legal guardian, but now he's gone. I was afraid that my mother would be responsible for me now. She kept on calling me, but I told her to leave me alone. She was the last person I wanted to see. His baby mama, Charlize, was there for me during the time and helped me with the arrangements, which was when we got close. At the funeral, the person I did not even want to see showed up. She had the nerve to act if she was heartbroken, when she did not even know my brother. I was grieving too much to put her in her place. She tried to act very helpful, offering help with money and support, but I did not fall for it. I saw that her tears were fake, and she wanted to gain fake sympathy. It was only because I knew my brother hated violence that I did not kick her out. To make matters worse, she came here with her latest boy toy. As she's gotten older, her boyfriends have become younger. He looked just a couple years older than my brother, but I did not even look at him a bit. After my brother's funeral, they stayed for much longer than they were supposed to. I was dealing with many phone calls from his company and sorting out his final account. So, I did not really pay much attention to them. But as things eased up, I wondered why they were not leaving. When I asked my mom about it, she said that it was her son's house, and I did not have any right to it. That was when I found out the worst thing possible happened. She claimed that my brother told her to look after me, and she had paperwork to prove that she was now responsible for me. With his death, she was now my legal guardian until I turned 18 in a few months. I knew nothing about the law, so I believed her. She was so confident that everything was going to her, and I got scared that I would not have a place to live. So, for a few days, I avoided them. As I was waiting to hear from my brother's lawyer, remember what I said about her boyfriend? Well, he was very creepy. He kept on looking at me when I was in the same room, and I avoided being around him altogether. He tried to act like my dad and forced me to cook for him and do his laundry. I was stuck there, and no one could help me. But when I turned 18, I wanted to fight against her. Things become worse when one day he tried to make a pass at me. I was so disgusted, I slapped him. My mom came into the room and asked what's going on. I told her what happened, but she believed that I was lying and chose to believe him when he said that I tried to seduce him. He said that he did not feel comfortable staying with me, and I was always giving him attitude. Maybe it was because of grief or because I've always been scared of my mother, but I was losing control of everything. Somehow, she was now making the rules in the house. Instead of believing me, she did the obvious thing and decided that I was wrong. It was very late at night, but she kicked me out of her house and said if I returned, she would call the cops on me. She also threatened to send me into care for the last months of me being a minor. Her boyfriend backed her up and said that I was an ungrateful brat. I begged her not to do it, but she did not want to listen. She kicked me out with just a few amount of clothes. Before I left, she said that she would just make sure that I got nothing, even when I turned 18. I called everyone I could, but no one was able to help me. Then, even though I did not know her that well, I thought maybe Charlize would be able to help me out. She sent me money for transport as she lived about an hour from my brother's house. She was also struggling, and my brother had been supporting her and the baby over the past few months. But she let me stay. I told her everything, and she promised to help me in every way she could. The other matter that was complicating things was that his house was tied up with the company because he got a loan from them. They were also investigating his death and had not paid out anything to us. So it would be fair to say that I was very stressed and I did not know what to do. His lawyer said there was nothing I could do at the moment. I had to wait until I turned 18. Because of the stress and grief, I had to take a break from school and give up my place at college. You have no idea how many nights I cried myself to sleep, hoping I would wake up and Sam would still be here. I did not even know who to blame, but my world had just fallen apart and it was getting much worse. Charlize was very nice to me and helped me to deal with the paperwork that needed filling. I worked on getting as much evidence against my mother as possible. She might have threatened me, but I was not going to let her just take my home and my memory of my brother like this. The lawyer got back to me, and it was bad news. It seemed that my mother had as much right to the house as I did. She had somehow gotten a court order to keep the house, which I could contest, but I had no money. It felt very unfair, and I was suspicious about why she was allowed to keep the house. My brother's company was also taking their sweet time finishing the paperwork, as I was the main beneficiary for his death disability. The way it was looking, it was very possible that she would get to keep the house. I think she paid someone off to let her have it, but I don't have any proof or money. So, for weeks, it was back and forth between my brother's company and the lawyers. I had the choice to go back home, but I did not want to live with them. I was scared that her boyfriend would do something to me. Every time I saw him by chance, he looked at me with an expression that made my skin crawl. Just when I was about to give up and let it go, my brother's company finally finished the investigation. His death was the company's fault and they had to pay out money to me. It was a lot of money, which Charlize also had a claim to, so she got half and I got the other half. I was not mad about it because she gave me the support during a difficult time. I did not have friends who would take me in, and I did not have any money for an apartment. The balance that he owed on the house was settled, which left the fighting for the house. I turned 18 a few days later, so I could fight her now. Charlize was on my side, and her son owned part of the house, and so did every living relative. My brother never thought he would die so young, and he just kept postponing his will. That was the thing about him. He wanted to take care of everyone except for himself. Now his will was messed up, and my vulture of a mother was trying to take advantage. I hired one of the best lawyers that I could and laid charges against her and her boyfriend. We spent a lot of time in court, and Mom tried to make it seem like I was a troubled child. She tried to use the time I was admitted to a ward for cutting myself when I lived with her. She was the one who had caused me to be depressed and antisocial. It was pretty much her word against mine. But my lawyer, who was this young woman who was Charlize's childhood friend, tore her statements to pieces. I exposed her for everything that she's put me through in my childhood. She then made wild accusations against Charlize, saying that my nephew was not my brother's child. A simple paternity test proved she was lying. While all this was happening, the house was frozen as an asset. The neighbors had also complained about loud parties and seemingly illegal activities taking place in the house. So she not only wanted to steal my brother's house, she wanted to ruin it. I do not know why she always hated us. Maybe it was because of who our dad was. But the way that she wanted to leave me with nothing made me believe that there was something more to it. So I decided to confront her. For all the years that she never wanted to talk about my father, she was the only family that I had, and I did not want it to be like that. I had one last conversation with her before the court decided on a verdict. I just needed to know why she hated me like that, and to find out about my father. She just held it over my head and just said that she did not like me, but I kept on pressing, which led to an argument, and she told me everything. The reason she hated us was that our father wanted to take us and provide for us, but she did not let him because he refused to take care of her. I told her what I thought of her, which was that she was the most useless person I've ever had in my life. Well, she did have a reply to that, and she said that she was glad that Sam was no longer taking care of me. She told me that Sam knew who our dad was, and he had been sending money to my mom so that she would let them meet. He still owed her, which was why she wanted the house. I guess she got so upset and she confessed everything, which left me to a lot to think about. I wonder why Sam did not tell me. Maybe we could have looked for our dad without her help. She still refuses to let me know who my father is to this day. She enjoys making me suffer because this is who she is, a very bitter human being who will never find any happiness. Well, a few days later, I won the case against her. She had to pay the legal fees for both of us and give me money because of what she put me through. The court could not do anything for me when it came to how her boyfriend tried to touch me, simply because I had no evidence. On the bright side, they are not allowed to enter the property without my permission, which I take as a small victory. She moved out of town after that, and I'm now staying with Charlize and my nephew at my brother's house. I'm going to go back to school in the coming year. We're now making arrangements to build my brother a tombstone, but I wish I could give up the house and money just to have him back for one day. What makes me sad is that his son will never have a dad, but at least he has a good mother who loves him a lot. I'm thinking of looking for my dad, but I'm afraid that he will not be who I expect. I also wonder why, after all these years, he's not looked for us, even once. As for my mother, she's nothing to me, and I never want to see her again. Here's a quick update 10 months later. So, it's been 10 months almost. Mom's boyfriend got arrested for sexually assaulting someone. Mom's alone again. She recently tried to contact us. She said she wants to be grandmom of Sam's kid, but we refused any contact with her. She's not allowed to visit us anyways, and I said I'll call the cops if she tries to contact us ever again. I'm happy we don't have to see her face. I know some of you can't believe someone can have a mom like that, but that's the reality of this world. Me and my sisters were pregnant at the same time. She was due in March and had her April 10th. I was due in May and had my son May 7th. We talked about breastfeeding when we were both pregnant, and we agreed that we both wanted to breastfeed for many reasons. When she had my niece, she decided breastfeeding wasn't for her, and I supported her 100%. I had my son, and breastfeeding was the best option for me. Me and my sister live together, and sometimes she'll take the milk I freeze for my son. At first, I did not have a problem with it because I had plenty of milk, but she started going overboard with it. She'll take the milk I specifically said not to. I asked her if she just wanted me to pump for her, and she said yes, so I started doing that. Since I pump so much because I have to feed 2 babies, my boobs started producing so much milk that they're just sore and overfilled. I try to pump more, but that just makes me produce more and more and more. I started pumping less and just feeding him straight off the nipple, and my sister would just come up and put my niece onto my other boob. Like, she will literally just take my other boob out and put my niece on it. At first I let her, but then it just started feeling like she thought I was obligated to do it, because when I didn't want to, she would get mad. She tried to put my niece on my boob earlier, and I just told her that I did not want to breastfeed my niece anymore, and she should stop because at this point it's getting weird. She got mad and was like, "You know how badly I wanted to breastfeed my niece, and breast milk is so much better for a baby. If you loved her, you would do it." Yet again, I told her no. My sister chose not to breastfeed, and I chose to do it. I shouldn't have to always feed my niece every couple of hours when I'm trying to give my boobs a break because my son is on them most of the damn day. I'm starting to feel bad because I do want my niece to be healthy, but she's a dang baby. She doesn't know the difference between boobs and milk formula. She's getting her nutrition anyways, and she's a healthy baby. Am I the a-hole?